What a nice start to our service this morning. Thank you. This week, Angela and I have been interviewing candidates for our church administrator position, which I'm glad to say we've had some good conversations. We're feeling good about the process. It's not complete yet, so can't answer any questions, but we've been working on it. And really, hiring somebody is kind of a fraught business if you take it seriously. It's a big decision that affects a lot of people and the church. There's no way to be sure you're making a good decision until a long time after you've made it, and you're never sure you've made the best one. It's altogether very nerve-wracking. And maybe that's why all week long I've been remembering tidbits of wisdom about working with people, hiring people, managing people, which I gleaned from my father at childhood dinner tables or during long drives to college, or I'm not even sure where I learned them all. I'm sure he's going to be very surprised this afternoon when I call him up and tell him all the different things I remembered this week, because he might not even remember them himself. This is a funny thing about parenting that I've discovered. Your kids pick up on things that weren't particularly important to you and you don't even remember. These weren't formal lessons, after all. They were just the underlying feeling I got from hearing him casually talking about his work. I don't think he was meaning to teach us something when he reported his frustrations at the dinner table, at the antics of his coworkers, or the way he handled a subordinate's resignation threat. He was just talking the way people need to talk to get things off their chest. If you spent 18 years as a parent thinking about the possibility that your child was going to remember this sentence for 50 years, that it would affect her life and her work and the life of her church, you'd be tempted to take a vow of silence. But of course, parents are people who have gifts and deficits, needs, and, well, lives, along with that very important parenting that they do. So a vow of silence is out of the question, and listening and watching is, after all, how children learn. There is, though, an infinite set of needs at play between even the sturdiest parent and their most capable child. There's no way to do it perfectly all the time, and always so crucial that we keep doing it as well as we can. My father was one of only a few men in his generation who cared for his children while his wife worked, and I cherished the extra time we kids had with him, doing ordinary things on weekends like cooking and chores around the house. Indeed, another reason I thought of my father a lot last week is that I was finishing up a chore around our house, fixing a rotted fence top and painting the whole fence in our yard. I do most of that sort of thing in our family because I tagged along with my father as he did that sort of thing, and I got as comfortable with hardware as with groceries. Thanks, Dad. I really learned a lot from you, and it means a lot to me to remember that. In my family now, my siblings and I are finding that our relationship to our parents is changing in an uncomfortable but also rich way as our parents age into new needs and dependencies. The tasks of love are changing now as regularly as they changed for them when we were little and growing up. And that's after years of kind of stable, everybody's grown up here comfort. My parents need more from us, and we worry more about them now. I know that some of you have been in that place when roles reverse. It takes some effort to remember that life is changed by its very nature, that resistance is futile, and that there is a possibility of new gifts and new wisdom and new kinds of love with every twist and turn of human relationship. We parents and children, we roiled and coped as no doubt you did through your childhood. My parents and I, my siblings and parents, my father and I, we enjoyed each other from a distance during my adulthood. Now we draw closer and roil and tumble again. It's a great sea of love and responsibility, joy and pain, dependence and interdependence that is parenthood, and today especially that is having a father and being a father. I hope some of my memories have sparked some of your memories of things you learned from your father, whether or not he intended to teach. I hope you found a way to be at peace with your father, whatever his gifts and deficits were, and a way to be at peace with yourself as a father, if you are one, with whatever joys and regrets you have. When William and I were worrying about whether to become parents, these 23 or 24 years ago, we were told that the father's job is to introduce the child to the world. Now, that's probably pretty old-fashioned advice, so maybe let's put it this way. The job of fathering is to introduce the child to the world. And fathering, while often done by fathers, is not only done by fathers, nor is it the only thing that fathers do, of course. Fathers also tenderly care for children. They always have, and today even more so, and they teach children about their inner life as well as about the outer world. I have, however, such good memories of watching the relationship between William and Kevin grow. Great pictures in my mind, even a few pictures in albums, the little games and teaching moments, the counting cows on long drives, blowing raspberries, endless renditions of Richard Scarry's Cars and Trucks and Things That Go. All that love and input, all that careful choice of words that grounds a child not only in knowledge, but in love. But if fathering is introducing a child to a world, then mothers can father, and so can neighbors, teachers, parents of friends, grandparents, and the person who's good at fathering can figure out just the right introduction. What part of the world is most interesting to the child right now? What's the safe way to make that introduction? Nothing too overwhelming or dangerous or startling. And what's to be done about the world's standards when they conflict with the child's needs or level? And how to balance the risks of leaving a child feeling badly about the world and the risk of the world reacting badly to the child. Fathering is indeed a very special gift. Who introduced you to the world, all its different aspects? On this Father's Day, I invite you to meditate on that too, and to celebrate in your mind and heart, especially those male people who showed you the world, who managed its risks, who taught you what you needed to know. And I invite you now into an extended moving meditation. I want to give everyone who wants to an opportunity to light a candle for their father or for their children or for whatever is in your heart this morning, whatever nurturing and fathering you got in your life or have given in your life or whatever. There are stations on either side of the platform here and candles to light. So please come down the aisles by the windows and then you can go back to your seats through the middle. We'll settle into silence for a few moments. Alan will begin to play and then I will invite you to come forward. Let us on this Father's Day remember our fathers, our children, those who we've interacted with in our lives in love and in care. In some places, Father's Day is also celebrated as Men's Day. And once again, not all men are husbands, but most are. And husband is one of those interesting words which has a lot of depth of meaning, which applies in certain ways to a kind of relationship rather than to a gender. You see, once upon a time in the Old Norse language, a husbandi was a peasant who owned his own farm. When the Norsemen invaded Anglo-Saxon territory, stole their farms, and married their women and took up farming, their wives proudly called their men husbands, which meant landowners, farm dwellers. And that job, caring for the farm, became husbandry. A good husbandi was then, as now, thrifty, smart, hardworking, careful, prudent, observant, kind to animals, took appropriate risks, planned ahead, took care of his tools, all those things that a careful farmer does to husband his land. Gradually, the term husband came to mean any married man, also now means a man partnered to another man. And on the other hand, the word husbandry pretty much remained in the agricultural area, meaning the care of land and animals. But there's a sense in which those of us who think of ourselves as caring for the earth and its resources are all, male and female together, practicing husbandry. We sometimes talk about the stewardship of the earth when we mean that sense of care and relationship to the earth. And I think stewardship is a good word, but I think husbandry would be a better one if we could bring ourselves to use it. Stewards, after all, are good servants who take especially good care of somebody else's property. They are paid to do that work. But husbandry, that's taking care of one's own place, the land one loves and lives on. It's a much more mutual relationship. A farmer with the earth producing a crop, or with the animals whose eggs or pelts or meat are the farmer's livelihood, whose health and well-being depend mostly on the farmer's care. Husbandry is a much more equal back and forth of things. Husbandry carries with it the sense of direct relationship, even mutual dependence and love. The good farmer cares for his animals well because they provide him with food and because he knows those animals and is related to them. He doesn't just work his plow team, he loves his team. Eroded land or downed trees hurt the good farmer the way a sick baby hurts a parent. This is probably the first time you've heard about husbandry on Father's Day. But the connection occurred to me because our church's solar electricity project, which took an extra year to complete, is finally done. And to be hooked up next week and to go online a week or so after that, after PNM has had all its say. But this was the day that we could properly dedicate it. And somehow that had to tie into Father's Day. That got me thinking about husbandry and about how we all have that sense of relationship to the earth. A loving, caring, mutual relationship of good given and received, a relationship which gives life, creates meaning, provides profoundly for persons and for the earth. After all, nobody pays us to take care of this planet because they're away. It's our place. We own this farm, and its burned acreage and crying babies are ours to worry about. Its life-giving abundance and miracle seemingly made for us and with us and by us. We are all husbands here. And for as long as I've been the minister here, whenever we've talked about building anything, somebody has wanted to put solar panels on the roof. This is New Mexico, after all. We may not have quite enough water here, but boy, do we have sun. It's never, until now, been remotely practical. But about 18 months ago, we were able to take advantage of a combination of good legislation and our own good energy and make this dream come ever so slowly true. Not only for us, but in the end, for the earth and its health, and also for others, because we slowed down in part to create a model by which other nonprofit institutions could take advantage of the tax breaks, which constitute the major way that our society is urging first adopters in the solar area to create a market for this technology. It's all kinds of husbandry. The husbandry of good ideas, which Rick Kennedy had when he suggested almost offhand one day to the Building Options Committee that we might do this, to your husbandry, your passion for the earth, which I knew went deep, and so asked Rick to expand on his ideas. The husbandry of the church's board, which is, after all, charged with the same kind of looking after the basic health of the church as a good farmer is looking after his land. And there's the husbandry of the New Mexico legislators who care not only for the earth, but for the New Mexico economy and that of member Ken Callahan, who shepherded this project through an awful lot of red tape and legal language. It's the husbandry of the company which took the risks of the investment with us, Consolidated Electric Technologies, their livelihood and values and energy combined with ours to make something happen in a relationship that neither the church nor a business could do alone. And all at base because, like good farmers, we care about this earth and its health, and its smoky skies and tornado-torn towns hurt us as parents hurt when they watch over their sick child. This solar project is one little bit of something that we're going to do to make things healthy, sustainable, and fruitful. So today I declare you all good husbands as caring partners to this, no doubt other projects of stewardship to care for this, our only home. In a moment, we're going to move outside and gather on the patio, enjoying the sight of those solar panels, which if you stand back far enough, you can see both on this roof and on the social hall roof, and blessing them and ourselves to the life-giving intention for which they were placed there. The children will be joining us, and I warn you, they have squirt guns. I'm sure everyone will be well behaved, but if you would be truly upset to get a little bit wet, maybe you should watch from a distance. And now let us all move outside.